Every NBA team has 5 positions: center, power forward, small forward, shooting guard, and point guard. And everybody knows this. But once upon a time, there was a different role on the court, one that's all but disappeared in today's game. And no, I'm not talking about the water boy or the bench warmer. The point guard is probably the most recognizable position in basketball. Ask your girlfriend or even your dog to name a position, and that's probably the first thing they'll say. Why? Simple, the best players in today's game are point guards. Stephen Curry, Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic, Damian Lillard, and this year's MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. But here's the thing, they all have one thing in common: they can score the ball with ease.
Thompson digging in defensively, 8 seconds. Brunson stops on a dime, launches. Oh yeah! Jalen Brunson buries it. Craig against Brown, waiting for the win.
Because of the rise of these scoring stars, most people now think being an elite point guard means you gotta drop 30 points every night. But that has never been the true definition of the position. If you look it up, the point guard is the team's primary ball handler and playmaker, kinda like the quarterback in football. Their job wasn't just to score, it was to control the game, set the pace, and make everyone around them better. These were the pass first guards. And in today's NBA, they're going extinct. Picture this as the 80s, Showtime Lakers, the Forum is electric. Magic Johnson grabs a rebound, and before the defense can even blink, the ball's already at half court. He's not hunting for his own shot, he's orchestrating, directing traffic, finding teammates in places they didn't even know they were open. Magic never needed to drop 30 a night. Matter of fact, he's never averaged more than 25 points in a season. That's because his real weapon wasn't scoring, it was making everyone around him dangerous. And Magic wasn't the only one. John Stockton, he's the definition of consistency. He wasn't flashy, but he was deadly efficient. Year after year, he carved defenses open, leading Utah deep into the playoffs, only to be stopped by, well, the one and only Michael Jordan. Without Stockton's lobs and laser passes, Karl Malone might just be remembered as a PDF file, not the mailman. Then there was Steve Nash, a 6'3" unathletic guard with no muscles, but somehow winning back-to-back MVPs in an era stacked with legends like Tim Duncan, Prime Kobe, Dirk, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, etc. His pick and roll game was poetry, and alongside coach Mike D'Antoni, they pioneered the 7 seconds or less offense, a style that would change the game of basketball forever. We also can't forget names like Jason Kidd, who was a triple-double machine, controlling the tempo, locking down on defense, and making every teammate better the second he stepped on the court. Isaiah Thomas, undersized but fearless, led his Pistons through the toughest era in NBA history through slicing defenses with his surgical passing. And Rajon Rondo, the playoff maestro, could dismantle an entire defense without scoring more than 10 points. These guys weren't just trying to beat their man one-on-one, they were reading the floor, adapting on the fly, and exploiting every crack in the defense, turning the game into a chess match they almost always won. So what caused the shift? Well, Gilbert Arenas.
If your point guard is the dominant player, but he's a passer, averaging 10, 15, your team is not winning. It's not possible because you don't have a dominant guy that he has to pass the ball to because he's creating every play.
During the 2000s, he along with Allen Iverson were anomalies to say the least. Point guards who score like shooting guards. They weren't just running offenses, they were the offense. And even though neither of them walked away with a championship, their style rewired the way the next generation of guards approached the game. Before the 2004 to 2005 season, the NBA had what's called the hand check rule. And back then, it was a guard's worst nightmare. Defenders could literally put their hands on you, bump you, and steer you away from where you wanted to go. For point guards, usually the smallest guys on the floor, it was like trying to drive your Ferrari through rush hour traffic. But then the league took that away. Overnight, the roads were wide open. Guards could finally use pure speed, flashy handles, and quick first steps to get to wherever they wanted. Suddenly, players like Iverson and Gilbert Arenas weren't just quick, they were unstoppable, and their scoring numbers shot up like never before. Fast forward to the 2010s, thanks to the revolution of the three-pointer by one particular point guard who went on to win multiple championships with their skill set, teams began to realize that if your floor general could be both a deadly shooter and a high-level playmaker, it could stretch defenses to their breaking point. And since three-pointers will always be worth more than two, the numbers favored players who could knock down deep shots efficiently. Suddenly, the smartest basketball player wasn't always swinging the ball to the open man. Sometimes it was the point guard pulling up himself. In modern day NBA, most point guards are celebrated for their godly ability to score, with passing often taking a backseat. Compared to the early 2000s, the difference in pace, ball movement, and offensive philosophy is drastic. Today's elite guards look to get buckets first, maybe kick it out to the open man second. Back then, point guards were true floor generals, constantly orchestrating the offense, probing for openings, and creating the best shot possible for the team. Nowadays, nearly every roster has a guard that can drop 30 a night, because that's the winning formula. Fast offense, three-pointers, and a simple pick-and-roll game. Even the culture has shifted. Fans, media, and even the NBA tend to glorify a 40-point explosion over a 15-assist masterpiece, reinforcing the idea that scoring is the ultimate measure for greatness. Even though true pass-first point guards are rare breeds nowadays, especially the elite ones, we still have old heads like Chris Paul, Mike Conley, and BBL Lowry holding it down, running offenses, setting the tempo, and quietly influencing the next generation. But among young stars, most lean heavily towards scoring, except for a few. The most notable one has to be Tyrese Halliburton. He was voted as the most overrated player this year. But after what happened in the playoffs, I think that conversation's dead now.
9 seconds. They do have a timeout. Carlisle's going to let him play. Halliburton steps back. And hits. Halliburton. 5 seconds. 4 seconds. Halliburton. Seconds, no fouls to get him. Halliburton looking. Halliburton driving. Pulls up. Jump shot. It's good. With 3/10 of a second remaining.
Although you don't see scoring mirages from him often like other stars, his impact on the floor is just as much as them. In the NBA Finals, the Pacers had a plus 3.3 net rating with Halliburton on the floor, and a brutal negative 34.9 net rating when he was off the floor. Halliburton is a floor general in the purest sense, reading the defense, making the right pass every time, and getting everyone buckets. A lot of people think that having a pass-first point guard on your starting lineup nowadays is not viable for today's game. But honestly, I don't think that's true. Sure, it's not gonna pop up on your For You page with crazy ISO highlights, but winning basketball isn't always about cooking your man one-on-one. Sometimes it's about making the entire team dangerous like what Magic Johnson did, and that's where a true pass-first guard changes everything. So I wanna know, in today's NBA, would you rather have a 40-point bucket getter running your team, or a pass-first point guard making everybody shine? That's all for today. I'll catch you next time.